really insane layer. If we get rid of that layer, it's sounding like that. And with that layer, you can really have a lot of fun with that. We're gonna start with a crash operator patch here. The first thing I'm gonna do is creating a little clip here with a node in it. Please turn your headphones on or listen on monitors, because these are really low frequencies and you really can only hear them on headphones or speakers right now. This is the blank sound we're starting with. So the first cool thing you can do is add harmonics to the sound. I like to use the parallel mode here, so it's not FMing each oscillator into each other, but stacking oscillators on top. And then we can basically play with the sine wave here. If I'm putting that to a sine wave and put it to 16 harmonics, and basically I can now draw in my own little harmonics. Usually what I like to do is add like a little bit of the second and a little bit of the third harmonic. You can do this by using different oscillators for this. So for example, right now I'm trying to do this with the second harmonic, and I'm gonna add another one with a third harmonic here. And now I can basically apply that, just play with the level and see what kind of sound we get. Also, we should see that there is no sustain, no release. Let me turn that off. So we just get a sustained sound and not having the harmonics getting quieter. Also, what really helps is using some kind of visualizing right after the sound. Let me use Pro Q for now, and we can, really nicely see what we are adding here. Let me just see real quick. Yeah, this is the second harmonic. So accidentally I've added the second harmonic, so this is with the third harmonic here. And you can hear we are getting a really nice tone out of it. And you can really play with the sound by just adjusting the levels of the harmonics. This is really a great way to create some kind of cool sound out of it. So this already sounds pretty neat to me. Let's bump up the volume a bit. Yeah, so it's getting a bit louder here. Let's turn that to one voice only and hit the retrigger mode. We could also add some kind of glide to the sound. You can simply do that by going into this little pitch section here and turning on the glide. And now if I play another note on top of it, for example an F, we can glide into that sound. And you can get some pretty neat 808s out of this. Another cool way is to add pitch envelopes to your sound. That is basically that little clicky sound in the beginning of the tone, just to give it more of a drum hit basically. We can do this by adding this pitch envelope here and playing with the initial and the peak. So I'm using the peak right now and turn it to 24 maybe, and turn the decay down a bit. And you can hear we are getting that little clicky sound. Also, we can play a bit with the CHACKK. And with the peak. So you can see as higher we get more of a transient sound. I usually like to have it like somewhere between 12 and 24 semitones here. This is like a really basic 808 sound. You can just render this one out. I'm just gonna make it a bit longer, like 2 bars or so, extend it. And yeah, then we can just record it out by using the record function here in Ableton. Cool. Now we have a sound. Let's consolidate that And we are kind of creating different variations out of it by adding different kind of saturations on top of it to make it really, really interesting. So you can hear it in a lot of my songs, like or like basically most of my tunes have this kind of super distorted 808 sound, and this is how I get them. Now that we have our sound, we are going to add some kind of processing to it. I really like to separate my distorted layer from my sub layer, so I'm duplicating that, calling that sub and calling that distorted layer or something like that, just so we can kind of play a bit around with the layer. I'm adding a trash to this. You can get trash on sale pretty often. I think I've got it for like 15 bucks or something like that on Plugin Boutique. Something like that. I'm gonna put a link in the description so you can find it. You have to look out for these deals, but they are really, really great and yeah, really affordable as well. Right now I don't have my presets in here, but if you are going with presets, I really recommend you to stick to the heavy presets, because there are some really, really insane sounds in there and you can get some really cool variations out of it. We are starting with a fresh thing here though, and we are going right into the heavy. Basically, I'm just trying to finding an interesting sound and then kind of adjusting it. So let's try to find something interesting. So this, for example, is already really interesting. I'm putting an EQ right after it and putting a low cut on here at around 100 Hz just to get rid of the lower end. So we have only that distorted layer, and let's play it together with the sound. You can already hear it's getting really interesting and you get a really cool sound out of it. Cool. Next up, I'm gonna try to add erosion in front of trash, so we just get a few more harmonics that are really getting destroyed by the distortions. I really love the sine mode as well, but you can really play with the white noise and the noise as well. So let's see. So you can see you get those really crunchy tops, and I just really love that. And maybe you could even layer those up. Yeah, something that like that is super interesting. Another cool thing in trash is by using the convolve mode here. So these are basically like short reverbs, yeah, like a convolution reverb. So these are impulses we call it from real world, like for example amps or some devices, some kind of really weird stuff. There are even things like animals, and so yeah, really interesting to play with. And I highly recommend you to go through these and just play with it and get like different sounds out of it, because it's really, really interesting. Some cool ones are in the body here. And you can hear they are really, really changing the sound a lot. And I like to play a bit with the saturation, with the width, and with the mix in here. So we still get a little bit of that, or like a lot of that mono sound, but also some interesting things from the convolution reverb. So let's try that out. And you can see you can get some really, really cool things out of it. I just turned the mix down a lot and put the gain up so we balance it a bit better, I guess. Let's try out some of the amps here. Also, let's try some of those animals. Yeah, I'm really digging that a lot. Next up, we put those into the group and call that 808. And just process them together a bit. So I want to compress them. So I'm just turning the threshold down and putting the makeup up a bit so they get compressed together. Also, let's put an EQ on here just to see what's going on. So something you should look out for is that your subharmonic is still the loudest in this whole thing. And you can see it's clearly the loudest. Next up, we could do some cleanup. For example, we could add a soothe or just get rid of some of the really harsh frequencies that the saturation introduced. Yeah, let's try that out. Yeah, that's sounding good to me. Also, we could try to get rid of some of the low mid muddiness here. For example, like that, but it really depends on your track. So if you need those low mids, keep them inside, because sometimes I really have little low mids on my actual sounds because they are these hybrid trappy, metallic-y, high-pitched sounds. And sometimes these frequencies can really fill out your mix. So don't get rid of them like automatically, because that is something I came across a lot. So this sounds really cool to me. Another thing I love to do is put in an imager on top of here. And I have a little preset here that is just a 4-band thing. I love to have my high end just a bit wider. So and making sure that the bass is mono here. Really insane layer. If we get rid of that layer, it's sounding like that. And with that layer, you can really have a lot of fun with that. A few other cool things are adding another erosion to the sound, so you get that high wingy tone from the erosion. So something like that. And I think that's a really cool sound. So yeah, that could be one way. One thing I really like to do is save those racks. So I know we split these out so we have more individuality, but you can just put that into a rack and make another chain. I just marked all of my plugins with Shift and then press Ctrl and G. And this puts it into a group, and I call this Distortion, and this is dry. We could put that on the 808 here and put the erosion on the dry channel. And right after that, we can put all of these effects here. And yeah, this would be basically a chain you can put in back of anything. Right now we have our initial sound here. Let's make that into a rack again. And yeah, this is our initial sound. And you can just put that rack behind it and it sounds like that. That's kind of neat, isn't it? The cool part here is that you can now play with the harmonics again. And you could even play with a pitch, for example. And I think that's a really cool way of creating your 808s. I hope you learned a little bit about how I create 808s. There are definitely like more ways of it. So if you're interested in checking out a few more ways how to create 808s, let me know down in the comments, and maybe I'm creating another video really soon about that. I hope you enjoyed the video and stay safe. Talk to you soon. Bye.